We all know that sanding is just a part of woodworking. To get that final surface, you're going to start with 150 grit. Do the whole thing. Change papers to 180 grit. Do the whole surface again. Change papers again to 220 and keep on sanding. And don't forget to empty your dust collection. Don't forget your dust mask. Don't forget to turn on your ceiling-mounted dust filter. Man, this is a pain. But it's not like there's any alternative, right? Well, yeah, to be honest, there is an alternative. Here's a piece of poplar that's been kicking around my shop for a few weeks. It's dirty, it's dinged up, it's still got marks from the planer, and I am just gonna take a regular hand plane and plane this thing. Once, maybe twice. Let's see what it takes. Okay, there, I'm halfway done. Look at the difference we already have. And then I'll finish and carry on. Great, now I'm gonna back my hand plane off to take a super fine cut. We're about 90% of the way there, but I can do better. There, check that out. Look at that surface, that smoothness, and that shine. Believe it or not, I am going to go from this hand planed surface direct to finishing. I'm going to put on 2 coats of clear shellac, buff it out with paste wax, and the results are, well, it's not bad. Nice medium luster, feels great, and you can still see and feel a little bit of that wood grain coming through. Now, I'm not suggesting that this is the only finish or the right one for every project, but this is a finish that I use on furniture pieces that are in my home right now. And I finish straight off the tool. I go right from the hand plane or the spoke shave directly to finishing with very little sandpaper. And when I tell people I mostly don't use sandpaper, they usually look at me like I just said I mostly don't use toilet paper. But you have to think about it. Sandpaper is aluminum oxide particles bonded to a special heavy paper using a specific adhesive. This is super high tech. I mean, how long has this stuff actually been around? Well, it's complicated. Abrasives in woodworking go all the way back to the Romans, but for very specific things, and not glued to paper. They usually used stone that was crushed or sometimes whole stone, like pumice. Here's Don Williams, an expert period finishing, and he is using a block of pumice to level some parquetry, an advanced inlay technique, and this can't be planed because of the intricate nature of the wood. Pumice is the perfect thing for this. And woodworkers continued to use powdered stones and whole stones for centuries until the late 1700s and early 1800s when glass paper became available. Glass paper is exactly what it sounds like. It's ground glass glued to heavy paper. And it's actually very good, except that it's expensive and it wears out quickly. So glass paper was only used on the finest high-end cabinetry and only right at the end. Later on, as mining and manufacturing improved, we got stuff like garnet paper. This is actual crushed garnets, the gemstone, glued to a piece of paper. This was mostly used for woodworking. I've used it myself, and it's actually really good. But it was the 1920s or 30s before we got carborundum papers. These were some of the first things that we would recognize as modern sandpaper. And the takeaway here is that abrasives, ground glass, stone, even shark skin, these have had a role in woodworking for hundreds of years, and there's nothing wrong with them, but they were used very selectively. The overwhelming majority of smoothing and surface preparation was done with blades and scrapers. And this is the way I mostly work in my day-to-day practice. I finish pieces with blades and scrapers and go direct to finishing. Even finishes like polyurethane will stick directly to a plain surface, although with poly you do have to sand in between the coats because polyurethane isn't super good at sticking to itself. Why do I choose to work this way with planes and then direct to the finish? Well, mostly because it's just so fast. Check out this piece of cherry. It's not just rough sawn, it is reclaimed. This stuff was a factory floor in Cleveland until just a couple of years ago. I'm gonna hit this thing with my aggressive 4-plane, and in one stroke, it takes off the saw marks and decades of accumulated dirt. This is the amazing, fast progress you can make with a sharp tool. I'll finish up the rest of this surface, and then the piece is nowhere close to flat, so it needs a little bit more work with the 4-plane, just so that I have a good surface to bring in my jack. And my jack plane can give me a final finish-ready surface that's incredibly smooth and clear. Here, check it out. This is that piece, and you can see, without a doubt, cleanly sliced grain, shiny, it's beautiful. Where there are any pores, they are open and waiting for finish. There is a little bit of a wormhole here. I didn't know about that, but on the whole, this is a beautiful piece of wood, and I could go direct to finishing this. Now, I could also sand this, but I think sanding, in this case, it's not going to improve anything. And I want to show you one of the things I don't like about sanding. Let me take a piece of 220 grit paper right here, and I'm going to sand just a piece of this, just over here. And I'll sand with the grain the way you're supposed to, lightly. And get rid of the dust. But you can see what happened there. I have incredible clarity and brilliance of grain there, and then when I get to the sanded part, well, it's very dull by comparison. I've taken all of that beautiful grain and kind of smushed it out, because that's what abrasives do. Instead of slicing the grain cleanly, they abrade the grain, and on a microscopic level, they're leaving a rough, broken up surface. Blades are just nicer for this sort of thing. Now, will you see this in the finish? It depends. If you're using a hard film finish like lacquer, light from the environment mostly interacts with the finish. And the difference between a planed and a sanded finish under a glossy, hard surface like that, it's kind of subtle. Mark Spagnolo has done a couple of excellent videos on this topic. But these days, oil finishes are really popular, and I often use penetrating finishes that soak in. And there, you really can see the difference. Under an oil finish, a planed or scraped finish just has a lot more clarity. You can really tell. Now, of course, a plane isn't going to work for every situation because the wood is always throwing up surprises. Here's a nice piece of walnut. I might use this maybe for a drawer front. It's got beautiful grain and color, but it also has a knot right here. It isn't a huge knot, but it's big enough that it could cause problems because the grain is going in different directions on either side of a knot. That makes planing difficult. You can never be going totally with the grain. So I have a suspicion that if I plane this piece of wood, that knot is going to give me trouble. Let's see. And yeah, that's pretty much what I was suspecting. So right here, you can see pretty clearly I've got some tear out. The wood fibers just don't look nearly as clean here because that plane blade was going against the grain and sort of tore them out a little bit. That's what tear out is. Now, no matter how much I plane this, I'm not going to be able to fix it. And I could fix it with sanding. That would totally work. But another great way of dealing with it is a card scraper. It's just a piece of high carbon steel that's had a burr rolled over one edge. And this has been the woodworker's secret helper problem solver for generations. I'm going to take the card scraper like this and flex it a little. And then I'm going to use that burr along that leading curved edge. And it's pretty amazing how it works. You can see as I work here, I'm making shavings like a plane does, and I'm skewing a bit. And believe it or not, I actually just erased that tear out. It is completely gone, and the card scraper is able to work grain in any direction with no trouble. You might be asking yourself, wait a second, why don't we do whole surfaces with the card scraper? You absolutely can. You can also use a cabinet scraper like the faithful Stanley number 80. These were frequently used for whole surfaces like tabletops. The surface you get from a card scraper is a tiny bit different from the surface you get from a hand plane. So if you're going to scrape part of the surface, sometimes it pays to just scrape the whole thing. And since there's only one grit of card scraper, you're only doing it once, and it still beats sanding. And of course, sometimes I just sand because that's the best solution. I really love sandpaper as a shaping tool, especially when I'm making certain details in projects. I recently made this mitten box out of poplar with these big inside curves, and I sawed them out, rasped close to my line, but I needed to get that final finish, which is always tricky on end grain surfaces like this. So I used one of my favorite tricks. I wrapped some 220 sandpaper around a spray can, and that big radius and fine abrasive gave me a really nice surface. It was quick and it was easy. And then here's another example. Earlier in the year, I went to Lost Art Press and made Irish chairs with James Wright and Owen Reardon under the guidance of Mr. Chris Schwartz. Maybe you saw that video. And Chris helped us make the whole chair, but he sent us home to finish it because we all know how to do that. But I got home and realized I hadn't planed the seat quite as well as I could have. I was kind of rushing toward the end there. And I would usually replane something like that, but I'd already installed all the spindles. It was impractical. So I took my random orbital sander, put on a piece of 220 grit paper, and smoothed that seat out. It got a beautiful finish. I only used one sheet of paper, so it was cheap. The result is excellent, and I have zero regrets. A lot of times I get viewer comments, like someone will hear me say, oh, I'm gonna take this piece I just planed and put a finish on it. And I'll get a lot of people asking, wait a second, you can go straight from the plane to finishing? Does that even work? You need to make a video about that. So I do make a video about it, and then I get a bunch of people saying to me, Rex, how dare you tell people that they're not allowed to sand, or they're stupid for sanding, or they have to work the way you do? And I am not saying that because I would never say that. I'm answering a question that I get a lot of the time, and this is the honest answer. I mostly do pre-industrial woodworking, where most finishing was done off the blade. And I've worked pretty hard to develop the skills to be able to do that. I find it really interesting. I like the results, and I also think it's fast, and it saves a lot of steps, and it saves a lot of money, but I'm not telling you to do it. I'm sort of a woodworking historian. That's a big part of my job, and what I like to do is point out the way people used to work and try to offer up traditional solutions to problems that people can still use today. I still use these techniques today, and I'm really happy with the results. But if I'm being honest, there is something in the woodworking industry that does really get on my nerves. It's when I open a woodworking magazine or turn on a woodworking YouTube channel and somebody says, the only way that you can surface your products is by sanding them. You've got to go with the 150, the 180, the 220. You need a random orbital sander. You might need a belt sander too, plus the breathing protection and all of that stuff. There's just no alternative. I hate it when people say that because there obviously is an alternative. Most of these products didn't exist just a few decades ago, and incredible woodworking was made with finishing right off the blade. It was done for centuries. And the reason people say this is because, well, there are a lot of woodworking companies that make an awful lot of money selling you consumables like sandpaper. And those companies fund a lot of magazines and YouTube channels. And look, these people aren't like evil villains who are trying to swindle you. It's just that there's a lot of money in expensive consumables. So there are a lot of gentle nudges to try to get writers and content creators to talk about sanding. That's just what happens when there's money to be made. And what I want to do is tell you there's an alternative. Now, I've worked for a long time to get really good at hand planing. And I'll admit, getting a finish-ready surface right off the plane is not the easiest thing in the world. I've practiced for a long time, but you don't need to. You can do what fine cabinet makers did for centuries. Get your surfaces 90% of the way there with planes and scrapers, and then just sand right at the end. And for that, you don't even have to be particularly good at planing. You could be like a C+ hand planer, and you'd still be able to skip those coarse grits. Imagine a world where you only ever had to sand with 220. One grit for all of your projects and still get the same finish quality, or even better. If you learn to use a hand plane pretty well, that goal is actually within reach. And the more you use tools like this, the more that you're going to notice that you might like the results better. One thing I forgot to mention in this video is how details that come right off the blade are so special and different. I am working on another version of the Irish chair that I made with Chris Schwarz, and I finished the legs the other day. I just hand planed them, and the facets of those octagonal legs are so beautiful. The grain is so crisp and clear, and the corners between the flats are so sharp and beautifully defined. If I introduced sanding into that in any way, even with a block, I would just make things blurry and indistinct. I would lose that beautiful, sharp, crisp look. The more I woodwork, the more that's what I value. It might not be what you value, and that's completely fine. You're allowed to make whatever choices you want, and my job is to provide you with some traditional solutions that might still work. If you're interested in more content like this, we have tons of videos like how to restore a hand plane. That's a video course. You could check out our chair building excursion down at Lost Art Press featuring James Wright and Owen Reardon. We've got a whole video about that. I've got bazillions of videos about hand planing, and you can check all that stuff out. If you'd like early access, become a patron. Patrons get all my videos early, all my plans for free, and a bunch of other extras at the $5 level. It's really cheap. Patreon.com/Rex Krueger. It's only because of my patrons that I get to make these videos. Anyway, I hope this cleared a few things up, and I hope it gave you a couple of useful options. Thanks for watching.